Hmm. Hi, Margaret. We're going to get started in 1 minute. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate that. I'm going to try to keep it to 1 hour this time because I usually go over, but I got plans this evening, so I'm not going longer than an hour. I'm going to keep it to an hour. All right, it is 4 o'clock p.m. on the dot here on the best coast in Los Angeles, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for coming. My name is Katrina Robinson, and this is how to 10x your rental income with co-living. And it's a free masterclass that I'm doing. I've been doing it every Thursday for about a month now, but I might take a little break. So I think this is going to be my last one for a little while. Maybe I'll do one on the 4th, but anyway. I'm going to jump right into it. So I see we've got a couple people on. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I'm on Zoom and on YouTube. First, let's talk about the difference between independent co-living and assisted living. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is independent co-living for adults. Some people call it group homes, but then some people, when you say group home, they think of children. What I'm talking about today is co-living for adults, meaning a residential house, but you rent out each room or you rent out beds within each room. So you might have private rooms, that's where you're renting out the whole bedroom, or you might have shared rooms, that's where you're renting out a bed that's in a room in a residential house. So that's what I'm talking about today. And what is the difference between assisted living and independent living? The difference is with assisted living, you're helping people with ADLs. That's assistance with activities of daily living. I am a certified Texas assisted living manager. I took the course, so I learned all about ADLs, activities of daily living. But what I'm into now is the group home model or co living. I'm going to use those interchangeably. But with co living and independent group homes, there are no services provided. So all I'm doing is being a landlord, but with multiple people to maximize my income and also help more people at the same time. If you have any questions and you're on Zoom, go ahead and put it in the Q&A. And if you have questions on YouTube, go ahead and put it in the chat. If you're unable to chat, that's because you're not subscribed to my channel. So subscribe to my channel. That way you can put your questions directly into the chat and I will take little breaks to answer all the questions. All right. So that was the difference between the co-living independent model and the assisted living model. So activities of daily living, before I move on, I want to explain that a little bit more. Activities of daily living are things like toileting, bathing, feeding, medication management. Those are the things that you need a license for. So what I'm talking about today is unlicensed. And unlicensed does not equal illegal. So unlicensed just means you don't have to have a license to do it. And that's what I do. I do unlicensed co-living for adults. And I'm about to show you in these slides how you can 10x your rental income by doing this model. Excuse me. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So let's talk about the outlook on the business. So co-living is poised for massive growth. Oh, before I move on, let me make sure I am actually sharing these slides. I don't think I am. Let me share the slide. Hold on. I'm just talking, not sharing slides. Mm, okay, if you can see my slides, let me know. I don't think you can though. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's not letting me share the slides. Hold on, hold on. Share. There we go. Boom. Okay, now you can see my slides. Good, good, good. Let me just double check one more thing. All right. All right. Now you can see my slides. So let's talk about the outlook on the business. So why co-living is poised for massive growth. So number one, the aging baby boomer population. I'm going to read you some stats on this slide. 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 every day. And that trend is actually going to continue all the way through the year 2030. 10,000 baby boomers are turning 65 every single day, all the way through 2030. So that means that 1 in 5 Americans are going to be 65 or over by 2030. Now, a lot of those people are going to need supportive housing, but not all of them are going to need that assisted living. They're not going to need help with activities of daily living. They just might need a little nudge or a little reminder to take a shower or something like that, but they don't need that full scale assisted living, which, by the way, is very expensive. That's why with assisted living, you can make a lot of money because it's very expensive to provide all that care. Assisted living actually costs an average of $4,500 a month to about $6,000 a month, and even more depending on where you are in the country. So that prices out a lot of the people, the baby boomers who are aging. So not everybody needs that full scale nursing home. They just need safe, stable, secure housing. And that's where group homes like mine and like yours come into play because the demand is rising for affordable housing. Now, number two, the housing affordability crisis. So we all know that rent and home prices are going up. Shared housing is the only affordable option for a lot of low income adults, even working professionals. Some working professionals are now considering doing the co-living where they just rent out a room that's all inclusive and includes all utilities because they're being priced out of areas. They can't afford to live in a nice area and have their own place. So they're willing to share a place with someone. 55% of low income renters spend more than 30% of their income on housing. So shared housing isn't just about making more money. You will make money with this. It's really about solving the housing problem. There's a housing affordability crisis, and the group home model does solve that. So cities really need this model, and that's where we come in. Let's go to number three, the decline in private room supply. So new construction really favors luxury or large single family homes, not affordable housing. So as those private housing costs rise, room rentals and co-living offer a scalable solution. And landlords who make that pivot from renting out single family homes to renting out group homes really can benefit by making that pivot. And then lastly, social isolation and mental health. Adults with mental health challenges, disabilities, or substance recovery needs often thrive in these structured, shared environments. So group homes give them community, not just a roof over their head. So the power in this model is really both profit and purpose. It meets a real need for society. So when you combine all of these issues here, the aging demographics, housing shortages, affordability issues, and the shifting preferences and new builds, co-living and independent group homes are not just something that is a trend right now. It's really the future. So people who are getting in on it right now, they're going to see massive growth in the future. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. So let's talk about the profit potential of a group home or co-living home. So on the left-hand side, I've got a single family rental. Now, the typical single family rental, you make about $200 a month profit. And I know because I've been investing in real estate since 2001. I've had a lot of houses. I've bought and sold a lot of houses. I've also bought and held some houses, then sold it after they grew and appreciated in value. So anyway, single family rentals. I was happy with making my little $200 a month. I was very happy. I had a 4-bedroom house and I would rent it out for $2,000 a month. The mortgage on the house was $1,800. So $2,000 minus $1,800, there's my $200 a month. I was happy. But let's fast forward to turning that house into a co-living rental, same 4-bedroom house. So let's compare that. All right, let's say you've got these 4 bedrooms. You put 2 beds in each room. So 2 beds in each room in a 4-bedroom house, that is 8 beds. Let's say you rent out each bed for $500 a month. So $500 times 8 beds is what? That's $4,000 versus the $2,000 that I was making before, $4,000. Now let's subtract that $1,800 for the mortgage. When we subtract that $1,800 for the mortgage, now we're making $2,200. So what is $2,200 versus $200? That is more than 10x. That's 10x your money. So that's the magic in this model right there, is 10x your money. So on the last slide, I said $500 a month. That's actually not realistic. In 2025, you could charge $600 a month and even more in some areas. So let's take those same 8 beds and charge $600 a month. So 600, 600, 600, 600, 600, 600, 600, 600. That's $4,800 gross. 4,800 versus that 2,000 I was making before. Subtract the 1,800. $3,000 versus the $200 that I was profiting before. So you see how this model just really maximizes your money. Now, in some areas, a lot of areas, you could charge $650 a month. Some areas you could charge $700, some even $850. But let's just say there are shared rooms and you're charging $650 a month. So 8 beds times $650 a month is $5,200. So that's shared bedrooms in a 4-bedroom house. 5,200. Let's subtract the 1,800. Now your net is 3,400. But wait, let's back up. Didn't I say that this is all inclusive housing? That means it includes the electric, gas, water, maybe even internet. Yes, I did. But even if you deduct the cost of those utilities, you're still bringing in 10x the amount of a regular single family home. When I opened my first house, it was in San Antonio. All my houses are in San Antonio, Texas. I live in Los Angeles. When I opened my first group home, it had 15 beds, and I started out charging $560 a month per bed. So 15 times $560 is $8,400. My mortgage on that house was about $2,000. So if you subtract $2,000 from $8,400, and then let's deduct another $1,000 for utilities. And utilities were not $1,000, but they were less. But if you subtract another $1,000, that is still profiting over $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month profiting on one house. That's on one property that is just a side hustle on the side of my day job. That's not on a job. That's not on a full-time job. It was actually very part-time because of the systems that I put in place. So imagine making $5,000 on one property. That's what had me sold on this. That's when I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be my retirement. I need to get a few more of these and I'm good to go for life. So that's what I teach people. Now, you might be thinking 15 people, that's a lot of headache. I don't want to deal with the problems of 15 people. And I get it. I understand. In the beginning, I was doing everything myself because I wanted to learn all the ins and outs of the business and I wanted to document everything. So I did run the business myself. But then eventually I hired an operations manager. So I outsourced my headache. I did not have to deal with 15 people's problems. I have one point of contact who I talk to for all 3 of my houses. Now, if I get more houses, then I might get another operations manager. We'll see how that works out. But anyway, I outsource my headache. That is the point. So I pay him for peace of mind. I pay my operations manager so that I don't have to deal with 15 people's headaches. I don't have to deal with any of that. And I have more than 15 beds now because I have three different houses that are open and operating. And I only see this growing. I only see this model growing because I foresee more working class people moving into co-living as a way to reduce their cost of living. It's just too expensive to live right now. And when you're marketing to working class people, you can charge more. These prices I'm showing you right now is more like for people who are on Social Security, they're on SSI or SSDI, something like, or VA money. But when you're marketing to working class people, they might not want to share a room, but they might pay $1,000 for a room that includes all utilities. They might even pay more than $1,000 depending on where you are in the country. All right, so let's take a little break so I can drink some. And why would you even listen to me? Why would you listen to me? Hi, I'm Katrina, and I have a business called Roundtable Living. I've got three co-living adult group homes in San Antonio, Texas, and I live in Los Angeles, California. So when I opened up my group homes and I was operating them from afar, people started asking me to help them to improve their systems with their existing group homes or just teach them how to start a group home. So now I help aspiring group home owners to start and run their own profitable group homes. I want people to have these profitable but yet purpose driven businesses without getting so overwhelmed by the process because, like I said, I have documented everything. My experience in life, my jobs have all been in management operations in the military and also working for Department of Health and Human Services and Department of Defense. So I'm very administrative. I like to document things, and I packaged it all up, and now that's what I do. I coach people, and I also just train people on mentorship, basically on how to run their group homes. So how did I get into this? 5 years ago, I was looking for a side hustle. I've always been interested in real estate, and I love having a side hustle. So I wanted something that would bring me the most profit, but with the least amount of work. And it's not because I don't like to work. I am actually a workaholic, and I'm used to hard work. I was in the military, like I said, but I really wanted something that was just going to be fairly passive. I still want to have my hands in there a little bit, but I want it to be a little bit passive, and I want to maximize my income. So I decided to go into assisted living. And so I took the class for Texas. I became a certified assisted living manager for Texas. I also went to an in-person training at the Residential Assisted Living Academy to learn all about assisted living. And back then, I think the course was like $4,000, and I learned so much. It was amazing. And I found out that I needed all these certifications, and I had to get inspected, and you needed to have a nurse on staff and a cook on staff, and all these things. And I was like, oh, this is a lot more than what I wanted. I really just wanted to make some extra money on the side. I don't want the stress of having this business with the unannounced inspections and things like that. So I ended up switching gears when a friend of mine who I met at the training mentioned independent housing, which I had never heard of before, because when she said unlicensed, I was like, that sounds illegal to me. It's not illegal. So I looked into it. I took my own training and found out myself when I opened my first group home that this is not illegal. As a matter of fact, this is the most awesome side hustle I've ever come across. So once I started making all that money, the $8,000 a month, I started stacking my money. And then I bought a second house. And then I bought a third house. So now I've got these three houses. But the first house is really what gave me that confidence, because I cashed out my retirement so that I could buy that house and go all in on me. I was betting on me at that time, which was very scary. But I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad that I bet on myself. because now I love it. I love doing my group homes, and now I've started coaching people. I love coaching other people on how to do their group homes, and I always want to make sure that it's profitable for them. So anyway, that's my little story. I didn't read anything on the slides here about me. You could read that. All right. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about you right now. So you are on this call for a reason. Maybe you're ready to bet on you. Maybe it's time for you to go ahead and do something other than your day job to make some extra money. Or maybe it's not about money at all. Maybe you just want to help people with the affordable housing crisis, and that's honorable too. So maybe you want more time for you. Maybe you want to fire that day job. I have coaching clients who are like, I hate my job. I want to fire it. I need to do this. And then I have other coaching clients that are like, no, I love my day job, but I want some little extra money on the side. That's great. I want to know what your goal is so I can help you get there. And one of the exercises I do with my coaching clients is your life vision. So I want you to think about, where do you see your life in 1 year from now? Where do you, what, if everything went great, if everything went great in the next year, what would your life look like 1 year from now? And if everything went great in the next 3 years, what does your life look like 3 years from now? And then in 5 years from now? So you don't have to do it right now because I'm running through these slides, but just think about that. And like, what is your why? Why are you on this call? Why are you on this call? Is it for extra money? Is it for more time freedom? The tax benefits of having a business, those are huge. Just to help people out. Maybe you want to leave a legacy for your family. That's awesome. And what does your life look like a year from now? If you take, for example, if you take this coaching course and you decide that I'm going to open up a group home, and a year from now, I'm going to be making an extra $3,000 a month, how would that change your life? If you were making an extra $2,000 a month, how would that change your life? So I want you to think about those things. All right, here's what you came for. Here is the slide that shows my proven system to open and operate a profitable group home. And how do I know this works? Because I have used this exact model to open all three of my group homes. And I'm getting ready to show you on the next slide my client Kenya, who opened her group home in Baltimore. If you're following me on YouTube, you may have seen my interview that I just did with Kenya last week. And we just basically talked about how she just opened her group home and she's filled already, I think, 5 of her 9 beds. So anyway, she signed the lease on her property. And yes, signed the lease. She does not own her house. You can do this business without owning the property. You can rent the property and still do this business. So she signed a lease on a property in Baltimore during week 3 of my 6-week program. And then she had her open house during week 6 of my 6-week program. And she filled 5 of her 9 beds. So I'm going to show you a little video clip, real short video clip of her open house event. And she does not own this house. This is a rental. So she does not own that house. That is a rental house. All right. So the 6 steps. These are the 6 steps. If you're taking notes, these are the 6 steps to open your group home. Step 1 is mindset. So during I have a 6-week coaching program, which I will let you know about in a few slides. But week 1, we focus on your mindset. You got to get your mind right. You have to have positivity, determination. You have to have this CEO mindset. And a CEO mindset is strategic and decisive and growth oriented. It's things like using a calendar, outsourcing the things that you don't need to do on your own, being obsessed with your win, whatever your win is, and thinking, who can do that for me? How can I pay for a shortcut? It's changing the way your mind thinks. You don't have to do everything. You can outsource most things. And it's also about setting up systems. Like, don't reinvent the wheel. You know, with every task that I do, I'm thinking, how can I never do that again? If it's something I never want to do again, I think, how can I never do that again? Or how can I make it easier for the next time? That's the CEO mindset. And it's also scheduling time to work on your business, not in your business. That's also during week one, what we talk about. All right, the second thing is setting up the actual business. This is doing your market research to see how much is a shared bedroom in Baltimore? How much does that go for? Or wherever you are in the country, if you're in Dallas, how much is a shared bedroom in Dallas? How much is a private bedroom in Dallas? And then how much are the rents on the local houses that are up for rent in the market? And then see how much money you could realistically make with that house. So that's the market research. Then there's the legal aspects of setting up your LLC. Now, you do not have to set up an LLC. It's not required because, like I said, you're not providing any services. It's really just being a landlord. All it is being a landlord. But when you do get an LLC, now you're legit. Now you can take advantage of business tax breaks. You need all those tax deductions. You do not have to go legit, but I want you to go legit. I need you to get a lawyer or go to LegalZoom, or there's a lot of different ways to pay for shortcuts to go ahead and get that set up, get it set up legally so that you can get those tax breaks. Because the biggest tax breaks and deductions are not for employees. The biggest tax deductions are for business owners. Like that big, beautiful bill that made opportunities for business owners to save on taxes. You want to be one of those business owners that is saving on taxes. I'm not a tax professional. I am not a tax professional, but I'm telling you, take advantage of the business tax deduction. Because when you set up your business the right way, you can write off your phone, your computer, your home office, your business travel. When I travel from Los Angeles to San Antonio to check on my properties, that whole trip is a tax deduction. That's the kind of stuff I want you to take advantage of. And that's what we talk about in my coaching program. Okay, I went on a little tangent with the legal part, but we also set up your banking during the business setup. So it's all about getting the business just set up properly. That's part of the foundation. That's number 2. All right. And then step 3, that's where you get the house. So you want to identify properties that would be good for this. One of the questions I always get is, what kind of house is good for this? I say at least 4 bedrooms, at least 4 bedrooms. If you own the house, you could put up a wall, you could make another bedroom, you could turn the garage into 2 rooms. But if you're leasing the house, make sure you get at least 4 bedrooms. I also recommend no carpet. And I recommend no homeowners association, no HOA. So you've probably heard of NIMBY, not in my backyard. You don't want to deal with the people who are like, not in my backyard. I don't want that kind of thing in my neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. Even though if you go to court, you will win because co-living homes and group homes are usually full of people who are covered by Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, which is the Fair Housing Act. So you will win in court, but I don't want you to have to go to court. I don't want you to have to deal with that. So just don't put your house in a place that has a homeowners association. Just don't deal with it. Just don't. So no HOA, no carpet, at least 4 bedrooms. That's what I recommend for your group home. And like not an A+ neighborhood, kind of like a C level neighborhood. So you contact landlords to get the house. You contact landlord. If you're going to rent it, contact landlords to see if they'd be willing to allow you to do this business out of the house. All you have to do is ask them to be able to sublease. You just need permission to be able to sublease. And there's also another way to pay for a shortcut, which is I have an organization within my network that I send my coaching clients to who will find a willing landlord for you for a cost. You pay it, but they would find a willing landlord for you. So that's another way. But in my program, I do also give you a script to send to landlords. All right, number 4 is marketing. So we talked about number 1, you got to get your mind right. Number 2, set up your business properly. Number 3, get the house. Oh, I skipped over set up the house, that bullet. So setting up the house means labeling things. That means furnishing the house, and you can furnish the house very cheaply. You can go to Goodwill, thrift stores, the Habitat for Humanity store, and then and also there's IKEA. And but I don't recommend IKEA because that stuff breaks. Except my nightstands in one of my houses, they are all from IKEA and they're going strong, and it's been many years. So anyway, that is furnishing the house and also labeling your cabinets. Label everything. If you have a refrigerator and you've got three bedrooms that or four bedrooms that are going to be using our fridge, you better put like room one is for this shelf. Room two is for this shelf. You need to label all of the interior of the refrigerator. One of my houses, we have four refrigerators. On the outside of the refrigerator says this is for rooms one and two only. The other one says this is for rooms three and four only. Within the refrigerator, this shelf is for this bed. This shelf is for that bed. So I mean, label everything that is setting up the house. And I go over that with you in detail in my coaching program as well. Okay, number 4, marketing. So this is the most important step. If you don't fill the beds, then you don't have a business. So this is the most important step. For marketing, you're going to connect with caseworkers, placement agents, people who need housing. For marketing materials, you're going to have flyers, business card. You might even have a pop-up banner that you take with you to different places. I also teach you how to do a year of emails in one day. So you're going to have an email campaign that goes out to caseworkers, how to get the caseworkers on your email list, which is paying for a shortcut. I teach you that as well. I teach you how to have a $50 open house. So you're going to have an open house event. So I have 101 ways to market your group home. I will teach you 101 ways to market your group home so that you can fill those beds. Do you think you can find 8 people in your chosen city who are willing to share a room and pay one low all-inclusive rate for their monthly rent? Realistically, do you think you could find 8 people? Because some people say that would never work. Nobody wants to share a room. A lot of people do not want to share a room. But if you're staying at a shelter, say you get a Social Security check, your Social Security check is $900 a month. You cannot afford to have your own place because you have to pay for the water, gas, electric, internet. You can't afford it. And you also have to pay for food. But if you share a room with someone, then you could just pay $600, $650, and you still have money left over for food. So if you're going from living in a shelter with a whole bunch of people all in one big room versus going to a house where you have one roommate, I think that I would choose living in the house with one roommate. So you can find 8 people. If you think you cannot, then you will not. But if you think you can find 8 people, then you will find 8 people to live in your house. And maybe some of your rooms will be private. That'll be easier to fill. All righty, let's move on. So I'm going to take a little break from the 6 steps to tell you about my coaching program. And this might not be for everybody, but it might be perfect for some of you. So wouldn't all of this be easier? Wouldn't all these 6 steps be easier if you had a mentor? I think so. Checklists, templates, somebody to hold you accountable, somebody who's been there, done that, still doing it. Imagine 6 weeks from now, you have your group home open and operating and making you money. That's what I do in my program. I take you from 0 to 100. I take you from 0 to $2,000 a month. So we go from what is a group home all the way to opening and operating your group home. And I basically hold your hand, and it is one-on-one coaching that I provide. And it's my startup intensive program. So if you got a property business that was profiting you $2,000 a month, how much would that be worth to you? Probably more than what my coaching program costs. So I won't go into that today, but I do want you to book a call with me if any of this stuff I've been talking about resonates with you, because I would love to talk to you one-on-one and talk to you about how I can help you. But it's basically a 6-week program that is one-on-one. I work with you. You have access to video modules, everything that's on the slide. I won't read you the slide, but here's my invitation. Just book a call. Book a call with me and we'll get you started. So I help people make money, basically, and help people. Let's talk about accountability real quick, though, before I move on. So there was a study that was done by the American Society of Training and Development. They said that if you write down your goal privately and you don't mention it to anybody, you are not likely to reach your goals. But if you announce your goal to a coach or to a trusted friend, you are 65% more likely to achieve your goal. Now, when you give a weekly progress report to a coach, you are 95% more likely to achieve your goal. 95%. I will take the 95. It's crucial for you to have a support system and for you to have accountability if you are serious. If you're serious about having a group home. I do have another thing for people who are not serious. If you're not serious about having a group home, but you want to learn more, you can just have access to my video modules. And the video modules are, well, I won't tell you the price. I just said I wouldn't tell you the price. Anyway, video modules are much less than the one-on-one coaching, which also comes with the video modules. All right, who is this for? So you can read, I won't read it to you, but just hop on a call with me. If you're interested, if any of this sounds good, hop on a call with me. My calendar's up to date. I will give you the link to book a call. It's all over my YouTube too. But I'll post it in the chat for the Zoom people. I know I'm talking a mile a minute too, and I have not checked the Q&A. Let's see if there's any. Nope, nothing yet. Okay, that's fine. Not on YouTube anyway. The Zoom, I am not seeing the Q&A. Let's see. Nope, not seeing the Q&A. Hey, daughter, I see you on YouTube. How come I can't see the Zoom Q&A? Anyway, after I'm done with the slides, I will go to the Zoom Q&A just to make sure nobody asked a question. All right. Oh, thanks, Kenya. I know I'm just talking because I wanted to keep it to an hour today because I got plans. All right. Let's get into these false beliefs. Okay. I need to own a house to have a group home. You do not need to have a house. You don't need to own a house to have a group home. Do you think every doctor owns the building that she operates out of? No, she does not. So you just need to find a willing landlord. Plus, I showed you Kenya earlier, who is on YouTube. Awesome. She's in the chat right now, but I showed you Kenya earlier, who has opened her group home. She does not own that property, but she's open and operating her group home. So you don't need to have a house. You can, and also you can pay for a shortcut as far as finding a willing landlord, but she found her willing landlord on her own. And I teach you how to do that. I give you a script. Okay, homeless people don't have income. That's not true. So a lot of homeless people receive Social Security or they receive money from the VA if they're veterans, just not enough to get their own place. Also, more people who are not disabled, not on Social Security, are also going to be considering co-living because it just costs too much money to live. Many of my residents are on Social Security and other types of welfare. They just don't earn enough money to get their own place. So I really do see co-living growing. It's something that, so I grew up in Germany, and in Europe, co-living has been around for a really long time, and it's not something that's abnormal. People, especially younger people, like in their 20s, they rent out a room instead of an apartment. They rent out a room. So it's just something that it's kind of catching on now here in America. And like I said before, if you're marketing to working class people, then maybe they won't share a room, but maybe they'll pay $1,000 or maybe $1,300 for a private room that includes all utilities. All right, let's go to the third false belief. Running a group home will be a full-time job. Nope. I had a full-time, very demanding job when I opened my group home. And Kenya also has a full-time job and she opened her group home. So it does not take all your time, especially the way I teach it. I focus on efficiencies and working on the business, not in the business. So I teach you how to pay for shortcuts. I teach you how to put things on autopilot, automations, and things like that. And then what if you can't fill the beds? I teach you how to fill the beds. I teach you how to fill the beds. Don't worry about it. If you think you can't fill the beds, you are not going to fill the beds. If you think you can, then you will. Now let's get back to the master class. Oh, I didn't show you my link. Okay, here's the link to book a call. I should put it in the chat. Um, oh, okay, I do see some questions coming through. All right, I want you guys to book a call with me though. So let me just pull up my calendar and I'm gonna send you the link because I don't have um my notes on me right now to just post it in the chat. So hold up. Copy link, put it right here in the chat. Boom. Okay, so let me pin that. Okay, I just pinned it in the chat. And then also, I will send you this link right here. If you're not already on my email list, I want you to join my email list. That would be great. Okay. So there's the links. I put it in the chat if you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube and you're in the Zoom, I will get that to you shortly. Okay, let's get back to the steps. Okay, I'm going to get to the questions too. I'm going to get to the Q&A. We have a Q&A slide coming up. All right, so we've talked about mindset. We talked about setting up the business. We talked about getting the house, marketing, but what about the day-to-day? I got you. That is the operations. That is step number 5 of 6. Number 5 is operations. That is intake, setting expectations, house rules, common challenges, ways to collect rent. So collecting rent, there are many ways that you can collect rent, and it's all up to you how you want to collect rent. You don't have to collect rent the way they want to pay you. You collect the rent the way you want to pay, collect the rent. So anyways, there's different levels of risk. Private pay is the most risky. That is, you bring somebody in, they're responsible for paying their rent, and you don't know if they're going to pay or not. That's private pay. That is the most risky. And then there's a family member pays. That's a little less risky. What you could do, what I recommend, is have the family member co-sign the lease because the family member more than likely does not want an eviction on their records. They do not want an eviction on their records. So have them co-sign the lease. So they are responsible for making sure that that payment is made. So that's less risky than the private pay. Then you have a step up from that is a representative payee. Representative payee. That's when an organization that specializes in being a representative payee receives that person, the resident's money on behalf of the resident. They, the representative payee, pays you your rent and pays that resident their, what do y'all want to call it? What do you call it when a kid gets money? Allowance. So the representative payee pays you your rent, pays them their allowance. That's less risky than the family member and less risky than the private pay. Then the overall, I about to skip, so you could become the representative payee. That's a lot of paperwork. I don't want to do that right now, but in the future, I could see myself doing that because I fired my day job, so I don't have as much stuff to do now. So I could become the representative payee, but you have to do reports to the Social Security office to let them know how much you paid the person and how much you paid for their housing, et cetera. So there's paperwork to do, but that's less risky because you're getting the money directly. So that's great. But there's paperwork to do. And then lastly, there's pay directly from a sponsoring organization. That's what you want. You want paid directly from a sponsoring organization. Now that one's a little bit more difficult to get, but it does exist. I've had it before where a sponsoring organization, like a nonprofit who gets money from the federal government or from the state will just pay that person's rent for them. And most of the time, they pay in a lump sum. They'll send you like 6 months, 12 months. Here you go. There's the rent for that person. That's awesome. So, like I said, you choose what payments you will accept. I use a tenant management system called Rent Ready. Rent Ready has auto pay options and they have payment reminders. You can require people to be on auto pay. Now, they can always be slick and go in there and try to stop the auto pay, but you can require that somebody is on auto pay. So that way you're getting your money every first of the month or third. Sometimes people get paid on the third of the month when they're getting welfare or Social Security. So anyway, I've already documented all of these operations things, the house rules, intake questionnaire, lease, house sign, licensee agreement. I have documented everything you need for your operations. So a way to pay for a shortcut for step 5 is just join my coaching. That's the way you pay for a shortcut. I always give you how to do it yourself and how to pay for a shortcut. Operations, I've documented everything. So that's the shortcut there. And I give you everything. I give it over to you. You can ask Kenya. She's in the chat on YouTube. I give you everything that I have. And if I don't have it in there, I'm going to find it and I'm going to add it to what I gave you. So now you've got the house open. You have filled the beds. You are pocketing money every month. You're happy. So now what? Now we need to turn this business into a well-oiled machine. We need to scale it. Now that you have gone through all the bumps and bruises of opening your first house, now you're going to be like, I can do this again and again and again and again. There are people who have 10 and 15 houses. So we're going to get to the apex of the pyramid, which is what makes group home on autopilot different from every other group home training that is out there. And that is how to scale and get your business to be on autopilot. That is step 6. Step 6 is autopilot. So that's all about getting systems in place and scaling. So you've gone through the hard knocks, like I said, you're ready for your next one. So how do you do that remotely? That's what everybody asks. How do you do this remotely? I will give you my complete toolkit, which is how all the resources and how I make my life easier and run my group homes from far away. I'm talking about the communication systems, like how I have my phone set up so that my operations manager can answer the phone or I can answer the phone. We can text with the residents. I can send notifications to the residents through Rent Ready. I receive my payments automatically through Rent Ready to go into my account. How I do my accounting every month using the Profit First method, which is a book by Mike Michalowicz. Anyway, everything, I'm a huge nerd. Everything, if you can't tell, everything that I have read and learned and put into place to make this business run, that's what I give you in week 6. I tell you all of my weekly and my monthly actions and how I got this business down to where I hardly ever have to work on it. I work on it with like my CEO hour on Monday and then maybe 30 minutes a day after that, sometimes 30 minutes a day, sometimes less. I also teach you how to hire an operations manager. You hire another you. That is the key. You hire another you. Hire an operations manager. In my program, I teach you how to find this person, what to look for, how to train them, and how to pay them. I teach you the accounting, like I said. So anyway, those are the 6 steps. That's how you open up a group home in 6 weeks. Well, my program is 6 weeks. This is 6 steps. My coaching program is how to open a group home in 6 weeks. It is a startup intensive. So I've covered all the steps from A to Z, how to open your group home. And that is, you want to take a screenshot of that slide, you can. People say knowledge is what? Somebody tell me in the chat, knowledge is what? Knowledge is power. I used to think knowledge is power, but really it's knowledge plus action. It's knowledge plus execution. That's where the power lies. I used to think if I had the knowledge, that I could do it. But after stumbling for a while, I hired a coach, which was a great idea. But the problem was that coach had never opened a group home before. So when you go pro, you ask who, not how. Like, who can help me do this? Not how can I do this? So you want to hire someone to help you who can be a mentor and who knows what they're talking about, because this business is so specialized. You don't need just any mentor. You don't need just any coach. You need somebody who's been there, who knows what they're talking about. And execution beats knowledge every day of the week. So anyway, let me get to the Q&A because I'm just chatting. Okay, in case you missed the first time I showed you the first invitation, this is what comes in my startup intensive program. I'll just keep it on this slide and I'm going to go right to this Q&A. Okay. All right, going to the YouTube Q&A right now. How much is your program? I already have a property. Book that call. Please book that call. I don't see that you've booked the call yet because I get notifications on my phone. So Jonathan Thomas, booked the call with me. I can let you know in about 15 minutes all my different options that I have. I do have payment plans as well. Okay. Yeah, that HOA information is disappointing, but real. Is it a waste of time to ask the religious community for referrals? It is absolutely not a waste of time. People go to churches all the time who need help. So on my list, when I have a list of caseworkers that I email every other week and say like, oh, these are 5 summer safety tips for San Antonio summers, or whatever. Anyway, I teach you that in my program, how to stay top of mind with people. I started adding churches to my list because churches get people all the time who are housing insecure. People need housing and they go to churches all the time. So no, it is not a waste of time to go to churches. How does one do background check? Okay, so when I first started, I did not do background checks. I just told them that I told potential residents, that I don't accept people who are registered sex offenders. So I'd ask them, and you wouldn't believe they tell the truth. They say, yeah, I am a registered sex offender. So anyway, I didn't take registered sex offenders, but I didn't do any background checks. But now that I have hired an operations manager, my operations manager does background checks. He does that on his own. He's a 1099 contractor. So he does what he wants to do. He runs it the way he wants to do it. So he does the background checks. He pays for that program. And there are subscriptions and memberships that you can pay for to do background checks. Okay, family member signing as a co-listener is not a problem if they fall on hard times and want to move in. If can you clarify, Deborah, if the family member wants to move in? Is that what you're saying? Just clarify that for me. And I'm going to I need to stop sharing, and I need to go to the questions that I have for in my Zoom. Oh, I don't have any questions on the Zoom. Okay. I will keep answering the questions on YouTube. Sorry, I was just running through it. I probably was talking fast because I want to get off this call within 8 minutes because I got somewhere to go. Have you ever had to do eviction? If so, does your resident sign lease agreements or membership agreements? That's a great question. So in the beginning, when I first started, I was not using a lease. I was using something that's called a licensee agreement. And it says at the very top, very big, this is not a lease. But when the police came, when I needed their help to get somebody out of my house, and the police came, it really depends on who comes, because some police officers see that and they're like, oh, this says this is not a lease and you broke this rule. And this rule says immediate eviction. So you have to leave. That was cool. But other police come and they say, I don't know this. He lives here, so it's a lease. And I'm like, no, it says this is not a lease. He did not care. He's like, it's a lease. He lives here. So this is a civil matter. You need to go through the eviction process. So I found that it did not matter if it was a membership agreement, a licensee agreement, or a lease. I still had to go through the eviction process. So it really depends on which police officer comes, but right now I use leases for everyone because um, when I was working with certain organizations, sponsoring organizations who were paying for the person to live with me, they said that their rules for using that grant money required the person to have signed an actual lease, not a licensee agreement, not a membership agreement. It had to be a lease. So then I had a bunch of people, like 80% of my people were on licensee agreements. Then I had a couple people who were on leases. And I was like, you know what? The police aren't helping me with the licensing agreement thing. So I'm just going to put everybody on a lease. And that's what I did. I put everybody on leases. Okay, Deborah, you said yes. I don't, I think you were agreeing with something I said. Um, Wrestler, not a problem. If they fall on hard times, I want to move in. So I wouldn't have them co-sign, excuse me, co-sign that they're going to move in. They're not signing that they live there. They're not signing that they're just signing that they're responsible for payment. But if I had a bed available for them, they could move in. You're welcome, Wesley. Good to see you on here. My leases are all month to month. However, I actually just yesterday got somebody who I said I need them to sign a year-long lease because I get tired of the turnover. My so another term for co-living is or group homes, I mean, because co-living could be like long-term, but for group homes is transitional housing. You may hear that term, transitional housing. Transitional housing is usually month to month. And so people can stay as short or as long as they want because you're helping people who are kind of like a halfway house, people who are in between life stages. So maybe they're coming out of rehab and then finding a job and stable housing. So they're in this transitional living, or maybe they're coming out of incarceration. So they're looking for stability. So they're in this transitional housing. So they need that month to month. All of my leases are month to month, but I love a long term lease. I really like long term because then you know that you are set. You're set for that income for the whole year. So I like that. All right. I know that on YouTube there is a little lag. So I'm gonna log off in about 4 minutes. I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes. If you guys have any more questions, please book a call with me. Yeah, I don't have any questions on here. Okay. Yeah, let me just, oh, I pinned it already. Okay, I pinned the call thing and for Zoom, let me just put in the chat. I'm going to put it in the chat how to book a call with me on the Zoom. Put it right now. Okay, there we go. I put it in the Zoom. Go ahead and book your call. And I am about to log out. Thank you for the little hearts. That's probably my daughter doing that. Thank you. Appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. I think I'm going to be back on here on the 4th of September, and then that's going to be my last one for a little bit. All right. Have a great night. Bye bye.